You're listening to GWP Live. Tonight is March 6th, 2026. I'm your host, Isaac Hedges, joined once again by co-host Jacob Fulmer. We are covering a severe weather cycle. As many of you may know, we posted just a moment ago, our listening area is now under a tornado watch. So, again, some severe weather that we're tracking, and my understanding, some new developments on that. Jake, what do we know about the severe weather that's headed our way?
Yeah, so we've got our first few warnings that have been issued across our region. So we're going to be taking a look at that very soon here. First, I just wanted to show you the area that is highlighted here. So this is that tornado watch that is currently in effect across southwest Missouri here. So again, that does include Nevada going down through Joplin as well as the rest of southwest Missouri. Springfield is included in that. We go to Lebanon and also the Osage Beach area. The main concern, of course, is isolated tornadoes, hail up to lime size or 2 inches in diameter, and 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. That is going to be the concern. You'll notice that the National Weather Service also put down this little statement saying that a tornado watch has been issued for the first round of storms, but additional watches may be issued for round two later tonight. This was from the National Weather Service, their weather story from Springfield, Missouri. Well, we want to show you
Absolutely.
that current radar. So we currently do have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings that have currently or that are currently in effect at this point in time. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at this one first since it affects our immediate area here. And so here it is. It goes in effect for 60-mile-per-hour winds, and we'll also be dealing with some penny-sized hail. So as of 8:03, severe thunderstorms were located along this line extending near Minimines to 8 miles northwest Purcell and near Columbus as well. And these continue to move to the northeast at 55 miles per hour, which means that Barton County will get involved in some of this strong damaging wind, as well as the Joplin area could see that as well. So that is something that we're going to have to continue to follow very closely. So again, a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Crawford County and Cherokee County in Kansas, as well as Barton County and Jasper County in our viewing area. And that continues until 8:45 p.m. Central Standard Time, with the main threat being 60-mile-per-hour winds and also some hail as well. Make sure that you
Absolutely.
move inside and understand that we are looking at the potential for damage to roofs, siding, and trees. So those are going to be the main threats with this severe thunderstorm warning that goes in effect till 8:45. This is a radar indicated threat, which means that it has not been confirmed.
Absolutely. Not confirmed yet, but a radar indicated threat at this point, Jake. Important distinction to make. Again, if you're a little bit in the dark on that, again, after this live update, you can tune in for the GWP Severe Weather Preparedness episode and find out some more information about that, some of those important distinctions, some of the different terms associated with severe weather. But this warning, the severe thunderstorm warning, of course, in effect for parts of Kansas and Missouri, as you mentioned. So some of the counties affected there: southeastern Crawford County, Barton County, Jasper County. Again, a few of those affected. So if you're in the area, I take the appropriate precautions, whatnot, and we will continue to follow the weather in that area as it develops. Jake?
Yes, and so we do want to look at some of the storm reports that we have from that particular storm system at this point in time. So let's see. So we've had some some tornado reports across northeastern Oklahoma as well as southern Michigan. And so we've had many tornado reports so far across the Michigan area. And so Oklahoma as well. Still no tornadoes at this time across the region here. If we look, we do have one hail report across southwestern Missouri. So here's that having some issues getting
Okay.
some of those reports in at this time.
Okay.
But
Well,
there we go. It was around the Carthage area. So it was 2 miles east of Carthage in Jasper County, Missouri, at approximately, excuse me, at approximately 6:37 p.m. there was quarter size hail that was reported in Jasper County. So that was from an earlier storm that we had. There was some hail that was reported around Neosho or just north of the Neosho area. That same storm went on to produce quarter size hail, and that was around the Carthage area. So as of right now, that's the only storm report that we've had in the state of Missouri at this point in time. Just when we came onto the live here, you'll notice that we have kind of this Boeing segment right here that there was a severe thunderstorm warning on this. That has now been allowed to expire. So we know that that has weakened. We've got some additional thunderstorms around the Warrensburg area or just to the north along Interstate 70. And then we've had some rain, a little bit of thunder here in Columbia as well. Everywhere else, we're looking dry at this point in time. So those showers that I'm showing you up here, they first came through this area. So we had some thunderstorms earlier this afternoon. And then you'll notice that we have additional thunderstorms that are developing to our west, just to the east of Wichita, and then another line of thunderstorms developing across Kansas. This is likely going to be the last line of thunderstorms that we see. When this one right here makes its way through here much later tonight, that will be where we'll get the cold front. And so that will certainly cool things off a little bit when it comes to our temperatures as well as our severe weather concerns.
Absolutely, some great information to have there. Sort of what we're looking at there, as we did just moments ago, Jake, as you mentioned, sort of the last line of thunderstorms, as it were, sort of to cap off this cycle. So again, when those are coming our way, those storms at the very end, that's sort of how we know that this pattern has run its course, and that in terms of the severe weather, in terms of that storming, that it's on its way out. So something you'll want to watch for. Again, many of the folks at home are probably looking forward to that, not enjoying necessarily dealing with the severe weather. Again, that can be frustrating dealing with on occasion, but you still want to take the appropriate precautions for that, certainly as things intensify in terms of that with these severe thunderstorms, with these, again, tornado watches, again, and we'll continue to cover that as the conditions develop. Certainly, if they become more severe, again, it's the most severe of weather conditions that we tend to cover here on GWP Live. And if you want to know, just in case, as to, again, the different types of warnings and different things, the different appropriate types of precautions to take, well, we have a comprehensive overview of that in a video that we released recently from Great World Productions. That would be our severe weather preparedness video. So if you missed out on that, you might want to check that out after this edition of GWP Live. Jake?
Yes, and so again, one of the big things to take away from that video, in case you missed it and you're wondering, of course, you can go back and watch it later on, or we can just go ahead. And one of the big things that I wanted people to take away was the fact that there's a big difference between a warning and a watch. A watch means that conditions are favorable for the development of severe weather. So tornado watch continues until 1 a.m. But that just means that conditions are favorable for the development of tornadoes, not necessarily meaning that there's an imminent tornado threat. But when you go under a tornado warning, that of course is when you need to take immediate shelter, similar to what we have just east of the Tulsa area. We currently have a tornado warning in effect until 8:45 p.m. Central Standard Time, just around the Broken Arrow area. So it's just to the east of there. This is around where that rotation would be. So we've got kind of that hook-like structure, and then we've got that tornado that would be right here just to the east of Broken Arrow. And this is a radar confirmed tornado. So we do know that this has been on the ground just to the east of Tulsa. There was a tornado warning that was also had an observed tag that moved through the Tulsa area as well not too long ago here. So again, this goes in effect until 8:45. At 8:15, a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was reported, and it has continued to move further towards the northeast. Again, this is about the current location of where that circulation would be at this point in time. So that's the only tornado warning that we have. Let me make sure that's a flash flood warning, I believe. Yes, that's a flash flood warning. So we've had some heavier rain up to the north, but that's the only tornado warning that we have at this point in time. Of course, the big storm that we're dealing with here is this one just to the south of our region here with this Boeing segment right here. That right there is going to have some very strong winds in it right now. So, okay. So we've got some new information to report to you. At about 8:15, the thunderstorm was located near Liberal, about 7 miles to the southwest of Lamar. So this is where it was reported at the time that this was updated. Now, again, it's this leading edge of that heavier rainfall. You see where we switch over to yellow and reds in the radar? That is where the strongest of the winds are going to be. And anytime that we have this backwards C shape, that bow echo, that means that we have the risk of some heavier, stronger, more damaging winds. And so now there's a severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So the threat has gone up from 60, now it's 70 miles per hour, which means that the damage could be a little bit worse. Now we're talking about considerable damage possible when it comes to trees. Damage is also likely for mobile homes, roofs, and outbuildings. So at this point in time, again, a bow echo moving across the Barton County area around the Lamar area, now just east of Lamar, is moving through with 70-mile-per-hour winds expected out of this line.
Absolutely. So again, not far from where we are here locally in Nevada, Missouri. So again, just one of our neighboring areas, seeing this severe thunderstorm warning, and again, some potential damages expected there. Certainly in the case of mobile homes and different smaller structures like that at risk at that point. So again, that's something certainly worth noting on that front, and something that we failed to mention previously here on this edition of GWP Live. Well, naturally, we are covering severe weather. Again, there's a precipitation. Again, it's pouring down here in Nevada, Missouri at this moment, and again, a lot of that often naturally includes cloud cover, which again can interfere with satellite signals. So if we have sudden outages, technical difficulties, anything like that, we're even having periodic lightning, which again can interfere with our power. So if we do have any technical difficulties, any sudden outages where we're disconnected, where all of a sudden you can't see, hear us or something, well, that may be why. Jake?
Yeah, so something to keep in mind as we go throughout tonight's live stream. So again, just kind of looking at it. So we've got some rain. I would say we've got some moderate rain moving through Vernon County. So there might be some thunder. I don't know, Isaac. You may be seeing some lightning outside. I don't know if you've seen any flashes in the window there.
Uh-huh.
But the good news is that we're not looking at any of those strong winds, as the strongest winds are right around that Barton-Vernon County line. So if you're in the Sheldon area, that's kind of where the start of these damaging winds are. The worst of the winds are likely kind of right in the center of this backward C-shape area, right around the Lamar area. So we could certainly be looking at some damage there in Lamar. And of course, this will continue to move further towards the east around Milford, as well as Golden City, eventually getting into Jericho Springs. Although Jericho Springs, you're currently not under the severe thunderstorm warning, I certainly would not be surprised if you were to go under a warning very soon. So keep that in mind as this continues to progress further towards the north and to the east. So this would probably be kind of that area that would be affected next. So that means that southeastern Vernon County could see some impacts from this Boeing segment here. And then this will continue towards their Stockton here. And then this will continue to kind of ride just to the south of Highway 54. Probably will not cross Highway 54 with this particular cell here. Let's see, we should have, okay, here's the latest scan here from the radar. So we've got an update here. So we've also got some thunderstorms moving through here across Joplin at this point in time. We still need to watch these thunderstorms. They're looking a little bit on the stronger side. We may have a bow echo trying to develop here. So that's something that we're going to have to watch as well. A few more individual cells across northeastern Oklahoma, and then those are going to continue to move in. And then, of course, we're still tracking this storm around the Broken Arrow area, where we do still have that tornado warning in effect just to the east of Tulsa. And then we've got a couple of additional lines, as we mentioned before, that additional lines that are sparking some thunderstorms. This one does have a severe thunderstorm warning, so we'll have to watch the progression of that as we move forward in time.
Absolutely. So, Jake, as you mentioned, in terms of our original listening area here, just under a tornado watch at this point, which is an important distinction to make between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. Of course, if you're not aware, and again, if you need to brush up on these concepts, always a great opportunity after this. Tune in to the GWP weather preparedness video. But again, short version of that. Again, when a tornado is imminent, when it's actually been sighted, when it's a serious threat, that is a tornado warning. Now, when the conditions are favorable for those to develop, again, the stage just before that will be your tornado watch. So, an important distinction to make on that. So, again, certainly our listening area, and perhaps quite likely that there are other tornado watches in effect across the country at this point. That we mentioned, the only tornado warning is there in Oklahoma. Of course, typical of Oklahoma, they tend to get more tornadoes there, and we know we've had confirmation that one was sighted there. So again, we're focusing mainly here on our original listening area, though if there's something, if you fall just outside of that area, if you're in another place, or even if you are in our area, if you have any questions about that coverage, well, you can call in and have those questions answered. If you'd prefer, you can also have those questions answered here in the live chat. But if you'd like to call in to have your questions answered, the number is 417-448-0819. You can call in with all of your severe weather related questions. We would love to hear those questions, and we'll certainly answer them to the best of our ability. Again, if you'd like to call in with those questions, that number is 417-448-0819. Jake?
Yes, and so as you mentioned, you can call in with those questions if you have them. And of course, the big difference between a watch and a warning is that a watch is issued over a larger area and means that conditions are favorable for tornadoes. So we do have that tornado watch until 1. Something else that was a really big recent change that we had from the Storm Prediction Center in the earlier weather update that we provided earlier this kind of around lunchtime, I guess it was, we talked about how that 10% tornado risk was dropped across our area, across western Missouri and eastern Kansas. Well, unfortunately, it has been reissued across our area. So that tornado risk has gone up just a little bit compared to where it was just a couple hours ago. And so conditions look to be a little bit more favorable than we thought they might be. This doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have more tornadoes. Sometimes the risk can be higher and we can actually get less tornadoes, but it means that the chances of getting more tornadoes is a little bit higher. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go forward in time. So we are now under that 10% category across the area. And so that means that our tornado risk, especially across western Missouri, is just a little bit higher than it was before. And so there's kind of that area the area that's highlighted in orange. That's where your tornado risk has increased just a little bit, including Nevada and Joplin, as well as Springfield over to Stockton. And then Lake of the Ozarks is kind of on the edge of that as well. So that's one of the big changes that we've had in comparison to where we were just a couple of hours ago, is that tornado risk did increase. So let's see
Absolutely.
what we have on the radar. We've got that severe thunderstorm warning with these cells just to the east of Wichita, that has now expired. So that's some good news there. And it appears, at least by looking at on radar, although might not be the case, it appears that we've had a weakening here in our bow echo. The bow echo is not looking as defined as it was earlier. So that could be some good news, but we're still dealing with some strong gusty winds of upwards of, or up to rather, 70 miles per hour. And so that's something that we're going to have to continue to watch very closely as we go forward in time. Again, the threat is for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and that does include the Lamar area, as well as Carl Junction and Carthage, where we already had some quarter-size hail earlier this evening, as we mentioned. So it's radar indicated, so it hasn't been confirmed. At this point in time, I haven't gotten any reports of any damage at this point in time. So that is some good news there. But again, there is that severe thunderstorm warning that continues until 8:45 for the risk of some stronger wind gusts, 70 miles per hour. And where those 70-mile-per-hour winds, it's going to be within this area, this kind of backwards C, bow echo type shape. That's where your heaviest of the wind is going to be. And then once your heavy wind moves through, then the rain is going to move through, and then your winds are going to calm down just a little.
Absolutely, Jake. Yes, important information there along that bow echo curve, as you mentioned. Again, that looks like a little bit of a C shape there. It was on our map just a moments ago. So important to note again along the outer edge of that inverse C shape there. Again, that's where we're going to have the most severe of winds. And folks, as we mentioned just moments ago, again with the ongoing weather, with the cloud cover. Again, the storms going on. It's quite possible that we'll have technical difficulties, that things will go out along the course of this live stream. So it appears, again, perhaps lost you just momentarily there, Jake. It's good to see that you're back. Anything else we ought to know here?
Yes, I just got some breaking news that, well, I mean, okay, maybe not entirely breaking news, but there is a tornado possible tag with that severe thunderstorm warning. So
Okay.
there is the possibility of a brief tornado within this storm. If I had to guess, just based on looking at the radar, probably our greatest chance would be somewhere around the Bellamy area, just to the east of Sheldon. I would not be surprised if we did have potentially a funnel cloud or at least some rotation in the atmosphere. So if we were to get a tornado warning, it would probably be somewhere in this area, which is just to the east of Interstate 49, and that does include eastern Vernon County, where we now have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued here. Let's take a closer look at this. The National Weather Service in Springfield has now issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Cedar County, Polk County, St. Clair County, and Vernon County and Dade County. Of course, the county that is in our most immediate area is Vernon County. So we've got southeastern Vernon County is now under a severe thunderstorm warning until 9:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. This goes in effect until 9:15, as I just mentioned. And then this is what I meant to read off here. At 8:30, severe thunderstorms were located along this line, that line that we were just showing you where we had that bow echo. And and so we did have, yeah, so we got 70-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail is going to be the risk. So the biggest risk is going to be the wind, the hail. So we've got penny-sized hail. That's not enough to cause any significant damage. Of course, it could be, I mean, we could be dealing with like crop and flower, vegetation type damage, but no like actual damage from penny-sized hail. But those 70-mile-per-hour winds, that's where the real damage is going to come from. Considerable tree damage. Damage is likely to mobile homes, roofs, and outbuildings as well. And so that does include the Stockton Lake area, El Dorado Springs, Stockton itself, Greenfield, Humansville, Lockwood, Sheldon, Fairplay, Montevallo, Jericho Springs, and then as well as many other towns, as many other small towns as well, under that risk here for that Boeing segment right here that could produce up to 70-mile-per-hour winds. And again, there is a tornado possible tag indicating that a brief tornado touchdown is possible across this area, including a portion of Vernon County, which is our immediate area.
Absolutely, yes. A new severe thunderstorm warning issued affecting our immediate listening area here in Vernon County, and again, a number of surrounding cities across the area. So, very important to note again, major part of that latest, most recently issued severe thunderstorm warning is, of course, the possibility of hail that is expected. Of course, again, the most that is expected here is penny size hail, which is not too severe. We usually don't see a lot of damage, Jake, as you mentioned, from a penny size hail. It's very fortunate. We haven't seen a great deal of it yet. Again, may have been more since then. Again, if you're seeing hail nearby in your area, something that we've missed, you haven't seen on our radar here, again, you can always call and let us know. The number to do that is 417-448-0819. Let us know if you've seen any hail, 417-448-0819. But at this point, the only report of that we've seen so far, Jake, as you mentioned just moments ago, was outside, just outside of Carthage, Missouri. We saw a little bit of it there. not too severe. I know that there was some hail expected across our area here in Nevada, Missouri tonight. Again, we haven't gotten any of it yet. So, again, we'll continue to watch for that now that we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect that sort of specifies that. Again, there was mention of hail in the previous one, but again, that warning, the new warning in effect, again, indicates at the very least the possibility of it, makes it a bit more likely. So, we will continue to watch that in the possibility of hail. Now, if it gets much bigger, again, it can begin to cause damage to vehicles and different things. And to be on the safe side, it never hurts during these severe thunderstorms. Again, if you have the ability to do so, to pull your car into a garage, again, under an awning, a carport of some sort to avoid some of that hail damage and different things like that. So, again, let us know. We mentioned you can call in and let us know if you're seeing any hail across the area. We haven't picked up on our radar yet. You can do that and let us know. You can also put it in the live chat here. Jake, anything else we ought to know in regards to this most recently released severe thunderstorm warning, or just anything else about this severe weather cycle that the folks at home ought to be aware of?
Yeah, so we've got some. Let's see, we don't have any new hail or wind reports at this point in time, so that is some good news. So no reports of this actually occurring. Now there is a delay normally, so keep that in mind. But so again, we still have this tornado possible tag with both of these severe thunderstorm warnings. And so of course this one across Barton and Jasper County goes until 8:45. The one including Vernon County as well as into Cedar and St. Clair and Dade counties, this one continues until 9:15, so 30 minutes longer for that one. And again, the possible tornado threat, if I were to guess where the tornado, again, rotation, I really should call it tornado rotation because I don't think we have a tornado on the ground. But if we did have any rotation in the atmosphere that could produce a tornado, I would most likely guess it's somewhere in this area around the Montevello area. So that appears to be where the rotation would be at. And the reason why is just because of the kind of that C shape that we have kind of on that northern end of that backward C shape. And so that can sometimes lead to some rotation. So we could have some rotation around the Golden City area as well. So, it really probably, if you want to be on the safe side, I would recommend sheltering for a tornado for this particular storm. That would definitely be the safest option. If you're anywhere in the severe thunderstorm warning, especially on the leading edge of that, I would recommend, I mean, you definitely need to be inside, and it definitely should be a very sturdy building, and you shouldn't be outside again, as we mentioned, or in a golf cart, a car, nothing like that. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about a screened-in patio or anything like that. We're talking about inside, probably away from windows as well, because those 70-mile-per-hour winds, they can crash through your roof. Well, obviously not the winds, but the winds can knock over trees, and then those can crash through your roof, and then those can hit you, and then the hail can damage your windows, and so then that can expose you. So it's just a good idea to be away from windows at this point in time, and to shelter like you would for a tornado if you're anywhere in this severe thunderstorm warning.
Absolutely, Jake. As you mentioned, of course, the highlighted area here now on your screens. Again, if there's a likelihood of a tornado, again, if we're going to see one develop, it's most likely going to be around this area. And Jake, you mentioned likely the worst of it would be around the edge there, around the little town of Montevallo, Missouri. So again, hopefully it doesn't develop into that. Of course, the little town there, it seems that again, little towns such as that, again, take the longest to bounce back from some of the damages caused when we do have tornadoes like this. Of course, locals in our listening area here in Nevada, Missouri will know that last year we had a tornado which kind of ripped through the town. Again, not on par with major tornadoes, the stuff that is seen in Oklahoma and different things like that, or like the Joplin tornado. Again, wasn't on par with that, but caused some damage to some local homes and businesses, notably the Oaks in here. But again, town that got worse damages than Nevada, Missouri. Here again, just outside of Nevada, Missouri, was Moundville, and again, they took more damages. A lot of the homes and businesses there, and being a smaller town, again, fewer resources to work with, takes a lot longer to bounce back. So again, for the sake of small towns such as these, again, now in particular, we're talking here about Montevallo. Again, we're hoping that this doesn't develop into a tornado, but in any case, we will continue to cover it. At this point, of course, a tornado watch is all that is in effect. And again, we mentioned previously the distinctions on that front. Again, a watch just means that the conditions are favorable for tornadoes to form. That doesn't mean that one has formed yet or is a real threat to the area yet. Again, it just is the possibility of that. But again, when that begins to form, when that becomes an imminent threat, that's when it becomes a tornado warning. But Jake, nonetheless, as you mentioned, if you're in that area, again, highlighted on that box on the screen just moments ago, some of that yellow area, especially along the edge, again, around Montevallo, Missouri, a lot of little towns around there. If you're anywhere in that area, certainly if you're outside, it'd be worthwhile to go inside. And if you really want to be on the safe side, you may even go ahead and take shelter if possible. And of course, what is always recommended in the case of a full blown tornado is going to the lowest and most interior room of the house, because again, that's your best chance again at getting away. One, from the possibility, Jake, as you mentioned, of winds blowing down trees, crashing through your house. You don't want to get hit by that and smashed by the tree. That would be no bueno. So again, to avoid that, again, in the case of tornadoes, and even if you really want to be on the safe side here, again, if you're around that area where this tornado would likely be developing, if it leads to that around the Montevallo area, again, the thing to do would be to go to the lowest and most interior room of your home. Of course, on the other end, in the case of loose structures, again, this being mainly a concern, again, why mobile homes and different things, discouraged from being in those. Again, if you can do anything about it, you're discouraged from being there during tornadoes because, again, the foundations in that case are different. Of course, they are mobile homes, they don't have a permanent foundation. So there's a lot more risk of that home, again, getting swept up, blown away, just really torn up by tornadoes. So, again, don't want that to happen. So, again, if at all possible, that would be another thing. Probably, again, being a solid structure, again, and at some point, at least consider the possibility of where you're going to go. Again, if that tornado develops, we've really got to take shelter in the area. Jake?
Yes, and so we do have some new information that we want to get to you for. First of all, on the immediate local area, so that warning or that thunderstorm is now pushed out of this area. So this severe thunderstorm warning is very soon going to expire. And okay, so we actually just had an extension on this severe thunderstorm warning, or a new severe thunderstorm warning just to the south of Stockton Lake has now been issued for Polk and Lawrence County. This also goes until 9:15 p.m. Central Standard Time for 60-mile-per-hour winds, as well as penny-size hail. This is a radar indicated threat. So again, still nothing has been confirmed at this point in time with that storm system, but that's something we're watching. And then we've got two tornado warnings across the state of Oklahoma right now. This is a flash flood warning. I'm mistaken that for tornado warning for a moment, so we've got this one right here that continues for not much longer, but then we have this tornado warning to the right that is an extension. This is a confirmed tornado. So we still have a confirmed tornado on the ground at this point in time, just to around southwest of the Pryor Creek area. And so it appears that it's going to be making a pass just slightly to the east of Pryor Creek here. This is to the southeast of Interstate 44, around the US 69 area, as well as north of Highway 412. US 412 is right here, and then 44 is right here, 69 is right here. So we've got Pryor Creek, and then we've got Adair just to the north of that. So around the Pryor Creek area, we do have a tornado warning that goes in effect until 9:30. At 8:40 p.m., a confirmed tornado was moving to the northeast at 30 miles per hour. So weather spotters have confirmed that this tornado is on the ground. So if you are in this area, make sure to take cover cover now, go to the most interior room of a building, as well as the lowest most interior room of a building. And so take cover now at this point in time. Again, observed tornado is on the ground. Train weather spotters reported it less than 10 minutes ago, and it continues to move to the northeast. It's about right here at this point in time, and it's going to continue to move to the northeast here at about 40 miles per hour. That warning going until 9:30 p.m. And so you'll want to take shelter. That is across Mays County in northeastern Oklahoma.
Absolutely, there, the area in northeastern Oklahoma, Mays County. Again, as we mentioned moments ago, the only area at this moment where we have a tornado watch across the country, which of course we are continuing to follow. Again, this is a confirmed tornado. Again, has been observed again by professionals and has been reported. And we've actually got a couple of tornado watches in effect for a couple of different areas there. Again, both sort of neighboring each other. Appears to be a little bit of overlap actually between those watches, certainly. And again, that already has been observed. So, certainly, if you're going to take shelter, that would be an important thing to do again in that area because again that's not a false alarm and again not a huge surprise here because Oklahoma is known to have a lot more of these tornadoes, but again nonetheless, and perhaps one of the worst places you could be right now is that overlap between those couple of tornado watches. So again, that falling again just outside, still in our four-state area. So again, we will continue to sort of observe the area there, of course, focusing on our immediate listening area. Though, again, we mentioned before, if, again, you're just outside of that area, if you have any questions about our existing coverage, if you are in the area, again, don't hesitate to reach out with any of those questions because, again, you may not feel sure about asking a question, but again, don't worry about it. Again, any question, no question is a stupid one. And certainly in the case of severe weather, it's better to be safe than sorry. So certainly we're more than willing to take those questions, and you want to reach out because when this weather becomes more and more severe, if you're in one of these areas, say hypothetically you were there in Oklahoma dealing with this, and you're a little bit in the dark as to what's going on. Well, again, a good thing to do would be to call in again if you're not sure of the precautions. Again, now when we're not live, again, in terms of when we're not live, or you can call into the stream, you can call in on air. Well, another great resource for severe weather in the area, severe weather that you may be dealing with. Again, a recent release from Great World Productions, and that would be your GWP Severe Weather Preparedness video. So, again, another great resource there. But again, we are here at your disposal. If you have any questions, you can put your questions in the live chat here, and we will answer those to the best of our ability. You can also call in live, as always, 417-448-0819, and let us know what your questions are. Again, that number to call in is 417-448-0819. Jake?
Yeah, so please don't hesitate to do that. We'll have you on the air if you want to, or you can always pop a question in the chat, and then we'll make sure to answer that as well, live on the air or in the chat, whichever you prefer. So, we got two severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing, as we mentioned. So we've got this bigger one here, including Vernon County. So that goes in effect for 70-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail. So there is a considerable threat tag and a tornado possible tag with that severe thunderstorm. As of right now, the potential tornado, or the rotation at least, would be just to the west of the Stockton area. So that's the area of rotation that we are concerned about at this point in time, as again, it's possible. So you might want to shelter for a tornado or like a tornado because there could be one within this particular storm. It doesn't appear that there is at this point in time because if there was, we would have a tornado warning. But we don't have a tornado warning at this point in time, but there is a possibility that it could become one. And so that's something that we want to continue to watch here. And so again, the severe thunderstorm warning goes in effect for Polk, St. Clair, Vernon, Dade, and Cedar counties across southwestern Missouri. And so that continues until 9:15. So you'll want to shelter for that storm if you are in the crossfires of that storm. And then we've also got another severe thunderstorm warning for Polk, Lawrence, and Dade counties until 9:15, and that's for 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail. Both of those issued from the National Weather Service in Springfield. Of course, we've got some rain on the backside of the storm system that's moving in across Nevada, but as of right now, Nevada and Fort Scott, you appear to be in the clear at this point in time. We'll have to watch some of these additional thunderstorms as those could develop and could become severe until that final line of thunderstorms moves in with the cold front. We could still be looking at additional chances for severe weather as we go throughout the evening. We've got some stronger storms that are about to make their way into Joplin. I'm a little bit concerned here about this spot right here. It looks like we could be looking at some hail just to the southwest of Miami, Oklahoma. And then we've got that tornado that is currently on the ground around the Pryor Creek area, northeastern Oklahoma. And then we do have some flooding ongoing just to the southeast of Tulsa around the Broken Arrow area as well. We expand to a more regional picture. We've even got some severe thunderstorms firing off across western Iowa as well. Now, considering that we don't have anything new to report at this point in time across the region, we will now go ahead and end the live stream for this point in time. If there's any reason for us to come back on the air, we will come back on the air. So we will resume this live stream if necessary. At the earliest, we would be back on at 9 p.m.
Absolutely. Again, as we mentioned here, the earliest we will be back on for another severe weather live stream. Again, in the case that there is a great deal more to report on in terms of increasingly severe weather conditions. Again, the soonest we would likely do that is around 9 o'clock p.m. So, again, continue to watch that. We will continue to watch that and continue to report on it. Certainly, if they become more severe covering that, so you will want to stay tuned for that throughout the night.
Um,
Jake, yes, a new
yes,
development.
we Yes, we just had a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for that storm that we were literally just talking about moments ago. And so, new severe thunderstorm warning in effect just to the north of the Veneta, Oklahoma area. So, this is to the southwest of Miami, Oklahoma, along Interstate 44 for the concern of 60-mile-per-hour winds and nickel-sized hail. So, we are looking at the possibility of some wind damage. No hail damage would result from this storm, but some small hail that's non-severe is going to be possible. At 8:51 p.m. Central Standard Time, a severe thunderstorm was located over Veneta, moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. Craig and Ottawa counties in northeastern Oklahoma under that warning until 9:30 p.m. Now we'll go ahead and we will exit.
Absolutely, just in the nick of time, just as we were wrapping things up, Jake. Well, thank you for another update. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning, of course, across the Oklahoma area, northeastern Oklahoma. So, again, important to note that if you are in the area. And as we mentioned just moments ago, again, the soonest likely that we would be back on is around 9 o'clock p.m. So, again, you'll want to stay tuned for that. Certainly, again, that is not long, so it likely will be a little while. But again, continue to watch that. We will continue to cover it as well in the case of those severe developments. And we thank you all for tuning in. That about wraps things up for now. Until next time,
I'm Jacob Fulmer.
and I'm Isaac Hedges, host of GWP Live. From all of us at GWP Live